This is a 1x1 box, and believe it or not, I'm about to spend the next 100 days in this border. Don't worry though, it will expand by 5 blocks each day. However, for now, there's very little for me to do. You can see a village over there in the distance, not like I noticed it at this moment, and there is this tree super close, but unfortunately, there's nothing for me to do on day 1. Best wait until the next day. Once day 2 arrived, I was finally happy to get access to this tree, but nope. It turns out that the 5 blocks increase is by a radius, which means it will only increase by 2.5 blocks in every direction. The good news is that I will get access to some leaves, and after breaking my first leaf, I actually got myself a sapling. All I have to do is wait for this bad boy to grow. You are currently watching ×4 speed, just to give you the idea that this tree did not grow, even during the night. Hey, at least I noticed the village at this point. 3 days in and it was finally time to get to work. Firstly by cutting down my first tree, and then by cutting down some grass. 2 weeks each, you say? Well, don't mind if I do. And then it was time to begin my long mining adventure. I know at this point that every single block is going to be incredibly useful, and so I decided to use up my entire wooden pickaxe. I'm not a sadist though. Whenever I found coal, I did mine it with a stone pickaxe. What am I, a lunatic? I even got myself a second tree. I did make the decision at this point that it's probably best not to make an axe because I don't really want to waste the wood that I had. I only had about 2 trees worth at this point. Anyway, I headed back underground and started digging myself a staircase. I found absolutely nothing. Nada. Zip. Zilch. And when I decided to take a break and head back up to the surface, I got a new tree again. At this point, I felt like I had enough wood, and so I changed my mind about the axe and made one. And as the sun is setting, it is time for me to dig underground. I didn't have a bed yet and won't have a bed for a while, so I just had to spend the entire night digging. I had this very simple idea of digging all the way to each border and then doing a staircase all the way down until bedrock. And though it took me a whole pickaxe, I finally got myself some iron. Once I reached the deep slate layer, I decided it was going to take me way too long to keep on digging with a stone pickaxe, and so I decided to head up. It was raining. If only I had myself a cauldron to collect some of this water. Also, I did notice my first mistake. If there's 100 days, I never picked up the saplings I got from the tree, so I probably lost a couple there as I was mining, but at least I'm not completely out of wood. It's now time to wait until the new day comes. Once day 4 arrived, well, I now had more grass, which means I was able to get a couple more seeds. I mean, it was only 2 more, but at least I'll be able to add that to the giant harvest I'll one day have. I did collect 10 iron when I was last in the caves, and so I turned 6 of that 10 into a bucket and a pickaxe, and then I went back down to mining. I dug all the way through the deep slate layer and actually found myself some bedrock. You know what I found at bedrock? Nothing but disappointment. I legitimately had not found anything yet. I even started digging around the bedrock layer, hoping to find maybe a couple of diamonds. I thought some diamond tools earlier would be really useful, but nope, I sadly found absolutely nothing. And once I gave up mining, I began to run back up. I'd like to make a note that it takes absolutely forever to get all the way back up to the surface, because this bedrock cave is at Y-60, and my surface level is about Y100 since I spawned on a hill. So this is going to take a minute every single time that I do it. And once I got back up to the surface, it was night again. Well, time to head back down. I thought the best and most simple way for me to get some diamonds was to just dig out this entire area. I knew it was going to take a minute, but again, I had nothing to do during the night. You know what I found? Nothing. It's gonna be a trend, isn't it? Anyway, after the great journey back up to the surface, I mean, first of all, look at this stonker of a tree. Oh boy, let's take that bad boy down. Very quickly fixed my sapling problem, and I also got 2 apples, which was a nice source of food. I do occasionally stop during my 100 days to take some notes, as you can see here, and whilst I was doing that, a literal tree grew on me, which I thought was kind of funny. It was good to know that most of my problems that I was having early on would pretty much be fixing themselves, except, well, food. I definitely need to find a solution very quickly. I did have one idea to try and fix my food problem, and that was actually to make a composter. By using certain crop materials, I can actually make myself some bone meal to grow the wheat so I can make myself bread. Will it be worth the 2 iron that I'm about to spend to get myself some shears? Shears I can get leaves. Leaves mean I can turn them into bone meal. Bone meal means that I'll be able to get myself some wheat. So spoiler alert, no it wasn't. I only got 1 wheat. Lord have mercy on my soul. Good news, on day 6 I finally had myself access to water. The border had expanded enough and I was able to get myself a water bucket. I grabbed 2 water buckets and made myself an unlimited water supply. This was definitely going to speed things up, and the animals and village are getting so close to coming through. I cannot wait to get access to them. And look at this cow. He was just outside the border, which was really sad times, but soon, my baby, soon. Well, let's try and get some mobs for the time being. Bones, string, and even zombie flesh would be a great addition, and so I tried to dig out a bit of a dark room, hoping some mobs would spawn and I'd be able to get myself some easy freebies. Sadly, that wasn't going to happen, and so I went to plan B, where I'm going gonna make myself a traditional mob spawner. At least I started to on day 6. The night was about to come and phantoms were about to spawn, so I made the decision to hide in the cave for the time being. I even dug myself out a little room where I finally found myself some diamonds. I actually got quite a few in total. By the end of the night, I had obtained 13 diamonds, which I was more excited by actually getting this than iron. I will come to regret that decision very soon. On day 7, I was able to get my 3rd piece of wheat. I was really tempted to make myself some bread, but I know I'm gonna need this wheat in the future to lure some animals. For most of the day, I just worked on the mob grinder. Admittedly, it was quite a slow day, but the good news is by the night's end, I was able to complete the mob grinder. And now I just need to hide out in the cave, the usual. There's a couple of extra touches that I need to finish the grinder on day 8, so let's just get some nice and simple work done. I just need to put a platform underneath for me to stand and attack the thieves when, well, you can see things were about to go really badly. I dropped to 3 hearts, so to say I got away with it was a massive understatement. I was able to sneak my way back up and cover it up, but it clearly wasn't going very well. I will mention interesting fact number 1 for you. It took me 8 whole days where I had to eat my first piece of food. I had not consumed anything beforehand, but look at me go. Well, I guess it's time for me to actually fix the mob grinder. I didn't fix it, did I? Oh, come on, again? Well, I guess I'm hiding out for the night. I'll pick it back up tomorrow. You want to see my view for the night? This was it. It's a very nice border. After the border expanded on day 9, the mob spawner became incredibly painful to deal with. I had to waste the diamonds that I had and make myself some armor and tools just because, well, I was gonna die if not, so better be safe than sorry. After carefully dealing with the mobs, covering up the mob grinder, and trying for a 3rd time to make it work, I finally got some grinding underway. In the middle of the grinder, I decided to take the farm that was directly underneath the mob grinder and move it a little away, as well as expand it. It's coming along quite nicely, I would say. Anyway, it didn't take me long at all to get my 12th piece of string, which means I was able to make 3 pieces of wool, which means I was able to make a bed, which means I was able to sleep. Things were coming together. Then it was on to the tree cutting, the earth flattening, because it was now time for me to actually prepare building a home, a base. I was fed up as just staying in a cave the entire time. I actually want to make myself a house. I was able to at least start on the build, but I wasn't able to continue it until I got a little bit more space. Unfortunately, the border cut off the end, but at least I was able to complete the first wall and something. I was using deep slate, but I was running out of deep slate, and so on day 11, I decided to head back underground, the long staircase all the way down, and started mining myself some deep slate. Even found myself a little bit of iron, and a couple of diamonds too. Though unfortunately, some of them was cut off the border. At least I can, come back to them later and pick them up. And no matter how long it is down the staircase, it is even longer up the staircase. Man, I really need to put some stairs in. I was able to work a bit more on the house, but unfortunately I still need more space from the world's border, so I can only do so much on it. By day 12, I actually had the walls in place and even added some texture with some polished deep slate just to make it look a bit fancier. I also decided to add a bit of an outside area, a patio of sorts, just so I could put some chests in there, just so I could put some furnaces down. And though I will work on the roof later, I decided that the best thing for me to do now is to get some more mob grinder in, because I still want to get as many bones as possible. As I was leaving the mob grinder though, I accidentally let my water run down the staircase, which means every single torch that I placed down there was probably not going to be there, which means probably mobs are going to spawn down there. So that was a bit of an oopsie daisy, if I do say so myself. Before it became a long-term problem on day 13, I decided to head back down and light it all back up. At least that was the plan, until I actually heard some zombies through a wall and decided to investigate, where I found not 1, not 2, but 3 useless caves. Apart from this creeper blowing me up and doing a little damage, nothing really happened here. Once I got back up on day 14, it was time for me to work on the roof. No matter how much it's gonna suck, I do need to get working on it. Also, a sheep has now come into the border, which is quite nice. Day 15, and it is done. God, that looks awful. Oof, boy. You know what? It's an improvement to other stuff I built. Also, what shot me? Again? Really? I just fixed that. Alright, that's fixed for the 3rd time. Here's hoping not for the 4th. I did have to spend a little bit of time on this day getting a couple of more trees cut down because I was yet again out of wood. And I also wanted to get some more carrots and taters, so I headed back to the mob grinder to see if I can get some of those lucky drops where it blew up again. Why does this keep blowing up? I did make some changes to the mob grinder to hopefully stop that from happening. Now it's time to grind some mobs, see if we get some carrots or potatoes. Apparently not though, because the mobs had just stopped spawning. I don't know why. On day 16, I remembered that I heard some lava whilst in the staircase down under, and so I dug towards it. I firstly found myself a fully golden skeleton who very generously donated me his golden boots. I'd like to thank it for his donation. I'd like to take a side note just to point out what I written in the script. The exact words are, "Then it say the lava." I had no idea though. I have no idea what I am referring to in this sentence, and that is not even a grammatically correct sentence. What in the world does "then it say the lava" mean? Live Haven, you're a moron! I did run back up to the surface, now with a lava bucket I assume, where I actually made myself a cauldron. The very simple plan was to actually make a little bit of a contraption to give myself an unlimited lava supply. For those who don't know, you can set up this little contraption where a dripstone stalactite can drop into a cauldron to give you an unlimited supply of lava. Am I gonna need an unlimited supply of lava? I don't know, but just in case, it's nice to have. With the border expanding even further on day 17, I was actually able to lure in another cow into the border. I made a fenced off area and began to breed them away. What that'll mean for the future of this world is that I should never, ever struggle for food, which is fantastic to think about. And then it was that time of the week to head back to the trees and cut every single one of them down. Boy, that's a lot of wood. On day 18, it was now time for me to actually enter the Nether. Unfortunately, I had a little bit of an oversight as I didn't realize that there'd be a border in the Nether as well. In retrospective, of course that was going to happen, but I just forgot about that happening. Now, the real question is, what are the chances of me actually finding a fortress in here? Basically slim to none, but I'm still going to keep hope out and keep checking every 10 or 20 days. At least there is some quartz for me to mine. Never going to complain about getting some levels. Also, I wanted to make myself a couple of observers as it's time for me to set up some automatic farms. Let's start with a sheep farm, because you never know when you're going to need a lot of wool. I did have to run back underground to grab some redstone, and then use the last little bit of iron that I had to actually make a minecart of all things. I really hope I'm not going to need iron soon. The big problem was, however, is that I do need rails for this system to work, and unfortunately, as I just say, I have no iron left. For the time being, at least I can set up the basics, the start of the contraption, but I'll need more iron to complete it. I went back to the mob grinder on day 19, hoping that there would be some mobs for me to kill, see about getting some carrots and potato. Unfortunately for me, I think this is one of the problems about doing an expanding world. You see, at the start of it, it's great. Mob grinders will work perfectly, but as the border expands, then obviously there's more places for mobs to spawn, which means mob grinders like this just won't work anymore. And since I realized that this was one of the last times I went to this mob grinder, let's head underground to see about getting ourselves some iron. Google says that the best Y level to mine some iron would actually be Y15. It was 100% lying. I don't believe it. And whoever read that is a dirty, rotten liar. Took me pretty much the entire day to get 6 iron. That was it, 6. That's all I got. Did also find myself a geode, and I also heard a zombie, and so headed towards him. I found myself a water cave where there was a little bit more iron in. I did nearly drown trying to get it, but you know, iron. I was beginning to run out of food quite quickly on day 20, and so I need to keep the breeding up. And then I made myself a rail. Now, I don't know how many of you guys have made an automatic wool farm in the past, but for those who don't know, to make this automatic wool farm work, you actually need a iron minecart with an iron hopper, and I had made myself an iron minecart with a wooden chest. Why is that a problem? Simple. You can't separate a minecart from a chest. Once they are together, you can't undo them. I do have enough iron to remake myself a new minecart, but now I don't have enough iron to make myself a hopper, which makes me want to give up on life. Well, let's head back underground. Maybe if I start myself a new staircase, I could find myself some iron quicker. You never know what you could find. Oh, hey, iron, neat. Okay, let's actually make the correct thing this time and set it up properly. I just need a little bit of sand to turn to glass and we are golden. I got the sheep in there by day 21. Let's just make sure it actually works as soon as this guy decides to eat. Take your time, buddy. No pressure. 5 minutes later and he decides to eat. Unfortunately, the contraption does not work until I realize you're a fool. Haven, you're a Live Haven, you're a moron. God, I hate you, Live Haven. You forgot to put redstone down. Anyway, now that that was placed down, it should work and I'll, come back and check it later. On day 22, oh no, a pillager attack. Anyway, there's a lot of generic stuff that happened on this day. You know what it's like, breeding some animals, grinding some mobs. I did check on the sheep where, oh, look at that, it worked, great. And then I went to go check how close the village was. I would say in about 10 or 20 days I would be there, so that's not too much time, all things considered. And with new access to a new hill nearby, I decided that I wanted to set myself up a bit of a bridge to be able to access both sides whenever I want. I will try and make myself a fancier bridge later, but just for the time being, I'm just gonna have this simple cobblestone path. I'll probably promise I'll make a good bridge later. Please believe me. On day 23, I thought about long-term goals, and I realized I want to get myself a fully enchantable setup, a level 30 enchanter. But to do that, I'm going to need sugarcane, so I wanted to set up a sugarcane farm. The problem? I had no sugarcane in this world, and when I was looking around, I couldn't see any sugarcane close by me. There is some all the way in the distance over there, but I'm not going to get there anytime soon. Gonna shock you a little bit on day 24. Did you know I was surprisingly low on iron? Bet you never saw that one coming. Well, I had this genius idea. With the staircase going all the way down to bedrock, what if I dug myself a little poke hole system in the staircase, because surely I'll be able to find some iron at all layers. On day 25, I learned that I was wrong. So very wrong. My pickaxe broke, and it's been half an hour that I've just digging, and I'm so defeated. I just look at these holes. I feel so much pain. It was night too. What a wasted day. On day 26, with the villagers soon to be part of this world, I decided to set up a little bit of a breeding area for them. It was just cobblestone. It won't look too nice, but it'll look the job. I'm gonna be honest, by the time I finished it, I actually didn't hate it. Definitely does have a prisoner vibe, but we'll move on. My first villager actually snuck into the wall on day 27. I placed some beds and realized that there was nowhere for me to actually put the villager trading block. You know, your fletching tables, your composters, your lecterns, those kind of things. There's nowhere for me to put them. So I would decide to go underneath the village trading hall and dig out an underground area for me to really put them down. This definitely had a prisoner vibe to it. Again, we're moving on. After that, I attempted to get the villager actually in there. Attempted being the key word because, you know, mobs. Also, I had no food, which just sucked. I was fed up with all these lame foods on 28, and so I decided to murder some sheep. I definitely should have bred them first, but And then I decided to turn my first trader into a fletcher. Easiest way, I think, to possibly get any kind of emeralds for a starting player is with sticks, and fletchers, of course, trade usually about 32 sticks for 1 emerald. Does mean that I'm going to need a lot of wood, so you know what time it is. Let's chop down every single tree that we can. I can happily say on 29 that at least I am learning. I was replanting these saplings, turning them into sticks, and then I was maxing out the trades that I could. And would you look at that, 29 emeralds I got in 1 day of trading, which you know, it's still good. Still very envious of the village over there. I want to get there so badly. Well, I guess I'll just have to pass the time by working on the bridge a little bit. The problem is, I do need some more wood, and I'm probably going to need a little bit more cobble, so I'm going to have to get back to collecting some materials. Just want to show on day 30 that this really simple design that I set up for the bridge, which was mainly just this cobblestone rail with some wooden blocks on the side just to add some texture to it. Don't get me wrong, it's nothing too special, but I kind of like the design, I'm not going to lie. Admittedly, it was a lot of just work on this day. I'm just going to show you the end result where I had the base completed. It did take a little bit extra to work on the staircase on one side compared to the other side, because one side it drops massively compared to the other side it just goes straight to the top of the hill. Probably are going to need to work a little bit on the bottom of the bridge, but we'll get to that in the future. Day 34, and I can officially say we are at the village, sort of. I mean, we're on the path block, which is, it's worth noting that we're there. It's also worth noting that the closest farm to us only has wheat, so the idea of having carrots and potatoes from the village, unfortunately, I'm not going to get them from there. From what I can tell, there is some all the way over there at least, but again, that's going to take forever. Also, look at that. We now have donkeys and pigs inside the border. Both are completely useless, but it's nice to know that they're both there. I had another quick look at the mob grinder to see if I could get anything from that, but unfortunately, no mobs spawning. This wasn't working. Let's just move on. And then I headed back into the Nether, where firstly a skeleton shot me, which, alright then. And then I had another quick look around for a fortress, and unfortunately, there was no fortress in sight. Well, it's time for me to leave. Oh, hey, there's the skeleton again. Alright, good talk. Been a while since I've searched for some sugarcane, and so on day 35 I started looking again. I did see some closer ones through the border, but unfortunately I'm not going to get there anytime soon, so I'm really hoping for some closer ones. And so I actually headed over the bridge to the other island because I realized I haven't searched that side of things. And would you look at that? Just in the far corner, behind the hill, there is a couple of pieces of sugarcane for me to grab. I was ecstatic when I saw this. Now, I don't want to just stand around and wait for the sugarcane to grow. I actually wanted to see about setting up an automatic sugarcane farm, something that I've actually never done before, but to do that, I am going to need myself some iron. And so I spent the rest of the day digging around looking for some iron. On day 36, I actually found myself a cave. It wasn't merely a struggle. Did have to fight a couple of skeletons with some bows. I was actually fighting myself some zombies where I got a potato. Let's go. Also, some more skeleton bow fights. Despite going through this entire cave and fighting all these mobs, notice the amount of iron that I'm not finding. It's almost like this entire cave only had one vein of iron, and that iron vein sugarcane only had 2 iron in it. Lovely. I found a new cave on day 37, which was a cut off deep slate cave, unfortunately. The good news is it did have at least 3 extra iron for me to mine. I know I'm pretty lucky. And then after strip mining a little bit, I actually did get lucky where I found a couple of veins of iron. I now had 15 iron in total. It's not a lot in the grand scheme of things, but for me in this world, whoo boy is it a lot. I went back to the surface on day 38 where, oh my god, the villager house is now inside the border. And look at that, there is now a second villager inside the border. I can actually breed villagers. Just need to get him in there. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's do this. And then it was on to potato farming. And with that done, it was now time to actually work on the automatic sugarcane farm. The design itself was actually really simple. Here's me working on it on day 39. Basically, the idea was to set up some observers at the top that would trigger some pistons at the bottom once the sugarcane grew to the max level. The only issue is that I had no redstone left, and so I had to head back underground to see if I could get some. I was so sure that there was some exposed in the cave underneath, and I was very wrong, though there was those diamonds that I forgot about all those ways ago, so I'll take a couple extra of those freebies. Well, it's time to do the long slog of digging out a new area and hoping to get some oh, never mind. Cool. By the time I got up, it was already night, so I was about to head to bed. I couldn't sleep because of this single nerd. Don't worry though, it was quickly dealt with. Day 40, and here is the finished contraption. Admittedly, it's not the most effective thing, but over time, it should give me all the sugarcane I'll ever need. Now to refix my food situation. I did have a little bit of bone meal, and after a little bit of cow breeding, there was a lot of cow slaughter. And there you go, the food is cooking. Gonna have me some steak. I was trying to get some extra food for the villagers on day 41, but unfortunately, at this point, I was actually out of bones, and I was left with very little taters and very little bread to give them. And so I needed to come up with a new idea to spend my time. And then I came up with the stupidest idea possible. On day 42, I'm going to use these unenchanted tools to get me some Netherrite. Alright, maybe not the tools. I was going to use beds. I had a lot of spare wool. This was my life for a while. It wasn't very entertaining, but by day 44, when I ran out of beds, I got myself 17 ancient debris. Just need myself a little bit of gold and we are good to go. I got back by day 45 and look at that, our first baby villager. How cute. I feel like such a proud dad. Well, it was now time for me to get cooking. I had actually obtained myself 4 pieces of Netherrite, though I'm not going to use them just yet. There's no point. I mean, why would I use them? After that, I decided to run around the border again. I was hoping to see if I could find myself some chickens, and well, I found every other animal you could possibly find except chickens. There's no chickens, so that's unfortunate. Also, a second baby villager. God, our own little family's coming along so great. Day 46, I decided to add myself some paths. I thought about making this place feel a little more nicer, a little more homey, you know how it is. And then I checked out the sugarcane farm. It was at this point that I realized, that some of you probably already realized, that the sugarcane observers, they're 1 block too high. Sugarcane only goes 3 high, and I had it 4 high. Unfortunate for me. Luckily, it was a very easy fix for me. And then I ended the day by just, well, listening to the rain. I know that sounds really dumb, but I mean, sometimes it's just nice to sit back and relax, especially with shaders. Here, just listen. Oh, that was really nice, really calm. Anyway, let's move on. Day 47, and I came to the serious realization of something completely new, as I need more iron. And so I headed underground to see if I could find some. It wasn't very successful. I mean, here's me digging out to the side of the mountain, which was always a good start, but after finding myself a new water cave that leads absolutely nowhere, I thought I was about to give up on everything. Also, the skeleton nearly killed me, like it was a single skeleton. I'm really struggling here, okay? I was actually able to sneak into a good cave on day 48, and I actually found plenty of good stuff. Look at this iron. There was some mine shaft. Diamonds, don't mind if I do. There was a skeleton double killing each other, which I'm pretty sure that's the first time I've ever seen that. And the best thing of all that I was able to find, well, would you look at that, a zombie spawner. This could be very useful to turn into a grinder later. And I even found myself a saddle, which, hey, I mean, I'll take it. Oh, and of course, I mean, what else am I gonna find in a mob spawner except the sweet, juicy, say it with me, melon seeds. All right, that was too much. I'm sorry. Well, it's now time to dig up to the surface. I was digging up on day 49. I decided that the best way to go about it was to actually dig up straight to the surface from this location, so I could always come down and actually make the mob grinder. I was about halfway up where I found a new cave that had even more iron in, and also a lot of mobs. Like, this is painful. Like, guys, please stop shooting. Please, guys, please, please. Once I dealt with that cave, it was back to surface digging all the way up the surface, and by the time I was there, I was home inbound. Let's get back to cooking. I actually came up with kind of a cool idea on day 51 to actually make my sugarcane farm even more effective. The idea was to set up a minecart system that goes underneath the main block to pick up any sugarcane that wasn't falling into this water source and put them into the chest where all the other sugarcane is going into. Now, I could have easily gone on the internet and found myself a tutorial on how to do this, but after doing a couple of quick tests, it did actually work exactly how I was hoping for, where the hopper was picking up the sugarcane from underneath the block, but I do need some power rails to get this to work, and I am unfortunately 1 gold short. That is why we have the Nether, just to pop in there and mine some gold. Day 51, it was time for us to put this into action, and can I just say, this works perfect. Don't get me wrong, it does only drop off 1 sugarcane at a time, but I don't really need anything else. Like, I don't need this to be super quick. I'm doing so much for a sugarcane farm that I'm only going to use once. Like, as soon as I've got the level 30 enchanter, I'm never going to need the sugarcane. And then I headed back to the village where, would you look at that? Hay bales. That's some free wheat, which is some nice breeding for the animals, some nice bread for the villagers. This was going great. And now on to the next plan, which was the iron farm. As soon as I saw out some food, at least, because my taste was really craving some mutton. You know how it is. It was on day 52 where I started the iron farm, where I actually paused my recording to go and look at a tutorial online to see, the easiest way to do this. Unfortunately, during this entire process, I never pressed the record button again, so I don't have any footage of me actually creating the iron farm, which feels really foolish, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm gonna have to skip a couple of days. Here we are on day 59 where I started recording again. I now had the mob grinder done. Let me just show you what I did after, getting these potatoes and then the wheat. Oh, okay, I guess we're now breeding the animals. Don't you worry, Haven, take your time, the audience ain't waiting. And there it is. There's probably some people that are wondering why it's so much lower than everything else. Well, the tutorial that I watched said that if you build it on top of a mountain, it actually doesn't work as effective, so I decided to make it down here. It does mean I am going to have to make a staircase down there just for easy access, which, can I just point out how well the iron farm's working? It's working pretty good. Once I added some stairs to make it even more easy access, this is going to come nicely. I mean, I did run out of time on day 59, but back on day 60, I had it finished. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add a little entrance to it. I know it's basic, but I just wanted to make it look quite nice. Then made a generous donation to the villagers, some classic bread, their favorite. And here is interesting fact for you number 2. With all this spare iron and 60 days in, I only just got the advancement suit up. I know there's some of you thinking, why didn't I get that with the diamond and leather armor I've been wearing? Well, the advancement requires you to put on iron armor, and since I've never made iron armor until this point, that will go down as the longest it has ever taken me to put on iron armor. Anyway, after clearing out one more layer of the staircase up top, let's check the progress of actually making the bookshelves. I was able to grab myself some wood, grab myself some leather, and I was checking it, I would say I'm about halfway done, so we can work on that a little bit. On day 61, the one thing I realized I needed was some paper, and so I decided to actually look around to see if I could find any more sugarcane. I actually saw a librarian at the village and decided to check him out, where he had a sharpness 5 trade. That's really good. He also had some bookshelves in his library, which I'm just gonna, take as a donation back. I feel like I deserve it for surviving this long. I did a couple of extra trades with my Fletcher boy, and there you go. I had got myself a sharpness 5 book. To think, by day 61, considering I started in a 1x1, I was able to make myself an anvil. Well, this is absolutely crazy. Sharpness 5 diamond sword. You know what? I'm gonna make it Netherrite. Let's just make this as overpowered as possible. Do need a test though. Let me test it on these cows. I think it worked well. I think it was pretty good. Anyway, back to the bookshelves, and I am 3 paper short from completing this, which is unfortunate. Remember that sugarcane that was so far away? Well, now I actually have access to it, but it's all the way over there, and I'm all the way over here. Oh, fine. I guess I'll just go and get it. Now that I've got this sugarcane, I just need wood. Oh. I have no wood. Well, that's just one problem after another at this point. The problem wasn't day 62, is that I had no trees, or I had no bone meal. I forgot to collect saplings. I know I kept making that mistake earlier, but it's just a mistake that I never fixed. And this single tree wasn't doing much for me at all. This was unfortunate. I was actually thinking of ways around it. Is there going to be any bone blocks in the Nether? No. I mean, there is actually a bastion over there, which I didn't expect to see, but, I can't check that out right now when I need some wood. Interesting fact for you number 3, though I am only a couple of bookshelves short from completing completing this, well, I finally made myself an enchant table, which again goes as the record as the longest it's taken me to make an enchant table. I was spending most of 63 just trying to collect more wood, collect more saplings for the future, where I finally found myself some chickens. I was thinking about picking up some seeds and potentially taking them all the way back, but I realized it'd be much quicker if I just used a boat. And don't get me started on how annoying it was to actually get them up this staircase. My god, was this slow. You know the worst part? I had to do it again. Go over, I had to get the chicken in the boat, I had to get him all the way back, I had to take him up the staircase. God, that was not a fun day. I officially completed the enchanter by day 64. The plan was always to do a level 30 enchant on my pickaxe, but unfortunately, I only had 2 diamonds spare. So, I'm gonna have to use an iron pickaxe. Fortune 3, efficiency 4, unbreaking 3. You know what? It's a pretty good iron pickaxe. I also got myself protection 4 on my diamond chestplate. Sorry, Netherrite chestplate. I mean, may as well upgrade it. And now I want to see about getting myself some more diamonds, so let's head underground. I firstly headed to the deep slate cave to see if I can get myself some coal. I actually found myself some deep dark biome down here. There wasn't any ancient city or warden spawners, but you know, maybe there'll be one connected to it if it keeps expanding. We shall see. And then going to negative Y57, which apparently is the best Y level for mining diamonds. I actually quickly found myself 2 diamonds. Back to the fortune 3, that was now 5. I found 3 more diamonds on day 65. Fortune gave me some extra, and barely 20 blocks later, seriously, look at how quickly it was. Well, would you look at that? A giant 8 vein of diamonds. I now had 29 diamonds overall, which, well, that was more than enough that I needed. It's time to head back to the surface. I got back to the surface on day 66, where I made the rest of the diamond armor. I'd feel bad about wasting the iron armor if I just wasn't swimming in it. In fact, no, I should head back to the iron grinder to see how much iron is there. 0. Huh, well, maybe I'll just outrace the entire time, so never mind. Alright, let's level 30 a diamond pickaxe. Hey, you know what? That's pretty good. And now, I wanted to go back to the nether. You see, I want to see about getting full netherite armor. The problem? I still don't have wood, so I may have to wait a second here. Oh, hey, there was a wandering trader over there, by the way. All right, bye. Now, without wood, admittedly, this does ruin a couple of plans, and so I decided to do something that I really didn't want to do. I let these saplings grow by just simply going AFK. I hate it as much as you do. It's my own fault for being in this situation, but until I have wood, there's legitimately nothing else I want to be doing at this point, and so we'll play the waiting game. I came back 2 days later on day 68, and would you look at all those trees? Amazing. Now I just gotta wait for the saplings to drop. Oh, look at that. Another pillager attack. Boy, that was threatening. I'm sure that won't be a long-term problem, that bad omen effect. And then it was on to making beds. And after waiting for a couple of saplings, I actually got 29 by the end of the day. Once these trees grow, this is going to be an amazing harvest. Day 69 came and I was about ready to go into the nether when I did something that I genuinely didn't think I was going to do and triggered a raid. Oh boy, was I underprepared for this. Admittedly, the iron golems that were spawning at the village was going to make things a lot easier. And I even got myself some totems, which was really, really nice. It's when the iron golems died and my totems started popping that honestly I thought this was going to be a problem. I ended up just running in a bunch of circles just trying to survive. But though it took all day, I somehow was able to pull off the entire fight. I am not doing that again. I refuse to do that again. That is not happening again. Alright, it only took a day delay, day 70. It is now time to enter the nether. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. Bed bombing this time was so incredibly unsuccessful. In fact, the only netherite I found during this entire time was when I was digging spots out to place the beds. And yeah, I didn't really find anything. In fact, by the time I completed my last bed bomb on day 71, well, first of all, I popped my second totem, which was not good. But second of all, I actually found a new piece of ancient debris, which means I had 6 in total, which was just awful. Well, I guess we'll just mine out and use these pickaxes. By the time I was done mining on day 70, I only had 11 pieces of ancient debris, which was just awful. Anyway, on day 75, it's time for us to head back home. I was cooking up when I realized again I didn't have any gold. At least I can enchant a new diamond pickaxe. Oh god, just unbreaking 3? Ugh. The one thing I will say is that it's so quick to actually get gold in the nether. I don't know why I've never done this in the past. And listen, if you were going to tell day 1 Haven stuck in that 1x1 box that he was going to have full netherite in this series, as well a netherite hoe of all things, I would have laughed at you. I wouldn't have believed you. This is crazy how much I actually have here. Anyway, after doing a new diamond pickaxe enchant, I unfortunately got Silk Touch. I'm not a big fan of that, admittedly. I'm not sure if I mentioned this throughout the 100 days, but on day 75, there was a broken nether portal quite nearby that I headed over to. Didn't have anything too worthwhile, but I'll definitely take the gold. And then I ran around the board to see if there's anything else I could find. You know what I did find? pumpkins. Yep, that was it. Let's move on. On day 73, would you look at that? There was a grown tree with a beehive on it. That's adorable. Oh, I also finally remembered to actually separate the chickens, so that was about time that happened. Speaking of, let's grow us some melons. Well, I mean, that was the plan at least. I just deleted the melons. So I placed the melon seeds and then accidentally placed the water down and it just deleted the melons. I have never seen this happen before, and I'm pretty sure it's a glitch because it doesn't work with potatoes. It just did it with the melons. The seeds were just gone. I looked everywhere for them. The seeds were just gone. Didn't affect potatoes, only the melons. It was just gone. I don't know what to say. Also, I think I'll go down as one of the worst 100-day organizers, as in my organization in the chests is bad, but this was next level bad. Look how bad these chests are. Oh boy. Day 77, I realized that, you know what? The iron farm's just broke. I have no idea why it is, but I just wasn't getting iron anymore. I mean, I'm not too bothered. I had other things to do. For example, I wanted to head over to that bastion. I did assume that the bastion would probably be cut off a little bit. I won't get full access to it, where I was actually wrong. And this bastion was actually fantastic. Don't believe me? Well, look at this. It gave me bone blocks. It gave me gold. It gave me ancient debris. It gave me wart. It gave me pick step. Woo! It gave me an efficiency 5 diamond pickaxe. This is probably the best bastion I think I've ever found. And once I finished it, I decided to have one quick look around to see if there was any fortress inside, but sadly, I don't think there was. I didn't see anyone. Day 78. If you don't know the first thing that I was about to do on day 78, then you must be new to this channel. I hope you've enjoyed the video so far. But on day 78, I got myself some pick step. Woo! And then I had an idea. You see, now that I had some wart, I could possibly make myself some potions. If only the village had a brewing stand. So I just have to search the village and aha! A brewing stand! Excellent! Also, I got myself some carrots. This is amazing. Oh yeah, beetroot too. I felt so smug on day 79. I was in the process of making potions without a fortress, and then I came to the realization that some of you have already probably figured out. You know what? Livehaven, why don't you go ahead and take this one away? Oh, son of a... forgot. Oh, I forgot blaze powder. God damn it. Oh, oh no. Damn it. Oh my god, I felt so smart there for a second. Jesus Christ. God damn it. I made up for the day by just depressingly grinding some crops. It was not a good time to be me. On day 80, I wanted to fully enchant my armor, and I realized that I still have a mob grinder to create, and so I headed back to the grinder to properly make it out. Now, luckily, I've done this a couple of times recently, so I knew exactly what I needed to do. Did forget to bring a second water bucket, though, which was definitely a rookie mistake. And here we go on day 81. God, this is slow. I actually counted the entire day. The entire day, for those who don't know, is 10 minutes. 8 zombies. All I got for the day. 8 zombies. That was awful. New plan on day 82. I'm just going to go to the Nether and grind some quartz. I did have Silk Touch, which was a bit of a mistake, but at least I can still pick up the quartz and bring it back when I'm ready. I'm going to skip a couple of days here. Here we are on day 85, where I got 7 stacks of quartz. And if you remember, I had that efficiency 5 diamond pickaxe that was ready to mine it. Let's lay out all the quartz and get ready to mine it. I mean, look at her. Magnificent, isn't she? Basically a full beacon of quartz. I just need to get ready to mine it. This is going to be really fun. All right, ladies and gentlemen, babes, bros, and non-binary souls, let's times for some footage. I was so incredibly short of 40 levels, but look for me. Look at this free XP right here. Perfect little bit of work. Speaking of perfect enchants, ooh, protection. Ooh, protection. Oh, blast protection. Oh, also I still have enough for one more enchant. On day 87, I was starting to think about the iron farm again. I don't know why it wasn't working, but there was a lot more iron golems actually spawning at the villager area that I had set up. And so I came up with the idea that maybe if I killed all the iron golems there, then maybe they would work at the actual iron farm. I did start standing around in the iron farm for an additional 5 minutes after that, but sadly, it just wasn't working. Not sure why, it just isn't working anymore. You know, I have a couple of things I still want to do in this world by the time I'm done. Day 88, I think it's now time for me to finally finish off this bridge. I'm gonna be honest with you. First thing I had to do was take down this mountain of a tree. I even broke an axe while I was doing it. And then on day 89, building this bridge, the underside of this bridge, it did take a minute. And so I'm gonna skip a little time because I'm not about to show you me make an entire bridge. It was not good footage. Here we are on day 95. Doesn't even look good. It doesn't even look like that took me 6 days. That took me over 2 hours. Why do I suck so much at building? On day 96, I had one last look around the border. You never know what you could find. And other than a different village that was super far in the distance, I'm afraid there just was nothing here. The one thing I will note was that it's super nice just to be able to run around and just look at everything clearly. But other than that, I was honestly done. I did everything that I wanted to do in this world and more, so much more than I expected, and so I just sort of waited around. When I went to bed on day 99, I was pretty satisfied that I did this world justice. This is where I started on day 1, and this is where I stand on day 100. Let's have a look at all the stuff that I've done. The mob grinder, the bridge, my home, the farms, don't forget the Netherrite. Honestly, I did so much more than I ever expected to, but that will be the video. I survived 100 days in a 1x1 world, and I really hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching.